All right, we're going to do some calculator practice and we're going to solve some force of gravity problems. Just as a reminder, our force of gravity is going to be the gravitational constant, big G times mass 1 times mass 2, divided by the radius and squared. Just as a quick reminder, big G is 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11. This is also listed in another location right here. So if you need another version of that, or if your worksheet doesn't have that listed there, that's where you can find it. Okay, so the force of gravity between the Sun and Mercury. Let's go ahead and put those numbers in. So that's going to be 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11. And then we're going to multiply by the mass of the Sun, 2 times 10 to the 30th. And then we're going to multiply by the mass of Mercury, which is 3.3 times 10 to the 23rd. And that is all over the radius, 8.5 times 10 to the 10th. And that number is squared. Okay, a couple of mistakes that students often make in this that you'd want to watch out for. This value has to be squared, but sometimes when putting it into the calculator, they mix up the order of operations and they accidentally square this entire thing. Now, if that happens, what you're likely to get is something called an overflow error or just some error. And that just says that your number is just far too large for your calculator to care about. The other thing is this negative sign. A lot of times your calculators are not smart enough to understand that a negative value here if you put in a subtraction. So let's go ahead and try that. 6.67 times 10 to the minus 8. Yeah, lead a syntax error. That's not going to work. You have to put it in correctly. That is a negative sign, 11. You add that and calculator likes that just fine. So what's the deal with this E? That E is your calculator's way of saying times 10 to some value, right? And I prefer this. There's a couple of different ways that you can put this into your calculator. A lot of times students do this manually, times 10 raised to the negative 11. And that works perfectly fine. I do not recommend this method because there are two operations here. This is not just a number. This is a calculation. This is a number that results from that calculation. And if you put it into your calculator perfectly, who cares? But the issue is that if you make a calculator mistake, which is really easy to do when you have all of these numbers, you really want to simplify the number of steps that you want to do. And so the way that your calculator does that is using this EE, which is your second value, and then multiply here. The other way, and this is purely redundant, it is times 10 to this number, which gives you the same result. Right? So those are three ways that you can put numbers into your calculator using scientific notation. I strongly recommend this EE value, but it's up to you. You can do it however you like. So we'll go ahead and continue our calculation. So 2 times 10 to the 30 times 3.3 times 10 to the 23rd, and that is going to be equal to 4.4 times 10 to the 43rd. Now you can go ahead and put this all in at once. That's fine. Again, there can be some missteps. I like to do it one at a time, but again, do whatever is helpful for you. So that's 8.5 times 10 to the 10th, and we are going to make that number squared, and we are going to get 6.1 times 10 to the 21st. Students round all different ways. We really only have two significant digits here, if that. So at best, we really should just be sticking with 6.1. If you go out to 6.09, I'm not going to fuss about that, but really this is just good enough. Let's work with a different calculator.